Stood between Blue Mosque and Hagia Sophia. That's where I heard the azan for the first time. I'm thinking, wow, that is so beautiful, that is so peaceful. So the way Islam made me feel, I was like, this is the truth. Nothing in my life has given me this feeling. I've tried so many things in my life to find contentment, to find happiness, and God has given me that with Islam.
Inilah kisah mualaf mantan penganut ateis bernama Aisyah Rosali. Gadis cantik asal Inggris itu awalnya tidak mempercayai adanya Tuhan. Tapi atas kuasa Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, ia mendapat hidayah Islam saat berkunjung ke kota Istanbul, Turki. Kisah mualaf ini bermula ketika Aisyah Rosali berlibur dan mengelilingi tempat-tempat ikonik di Turki. Saat akan pergi ke Masjid Biru atau dikenal Masjid Sultan Ahmed, ia mempersiapkan diri dengan membeli hijab di sebuah toko kecil. Sang pedagang memberikan hijab instan agar mudah dipakai Aisyah dalam melakukan perjalanan. Tapi siapa sangka, rupanya hijab instan berwarna merah muda itulah yang membuatnya menjadi mualaf. Bahkan, hijab tersebut menjadi hijab yang sangat spesial bagi Aisyah, seperti dinukil dari kanal YouTube Ayatuna Ambassador.
It was when I was in Turkey. And it was when I was in Blue Mosque, Sultan Ahmed, I think you guys call it. That's when I started really seeing into religion for the first time. I'd experienced other religions, but not to the depth that I experienced Islam. Other religions, I just kind of read about them, but Islam I experienced through feeling. From being inside the mosque, from hearing the azan, it was completely different.
Mulanya dia tidak mau mengenakan hijab tersebut saat kembali ke hotel. Dia pun tampil dengan rambut pirangnya saat bersinggah ke kafe Nero untuk bersantai sejenak. Kemudian, dia pergi ke toilet dan membuka bungkus hijab yang baru saja dibeli. Niatnya untuk mencoba hijab tersebut. Meski terlihat mudah dipakai, Aisyah tetap saja merasa kesulitan saat mengenakannya. Ketika coba memakai hijab merah muda itu, Aisyah menatap dirinya di cermin. Dia merasa hijab tersebut sangat cocok dan memutuskan memakainya saat keluar dari kafe. Bukan untuk melengkapi outfitnya, Aisyah hanya ingin memakai hijab tersebut. Kemudian dia memulai perjalanannya ke Masjid Biru. Perjalanan itu membutuhkan waktu sekitar 1,5 jam apabila berjalan kaki dari hotelnya. Di tengah perjalanan, Aisyah berhenti sejenak untuk membeli sebuah tasbih. Pasalnya dia sering melihat warga Istanbul menggunakan benda tersebut. Ia pun mencari tahu bagaimana cara menggunakan tasbih dan berlatih sepanjang perjalanan.
I mean, there wasn't one thing. There was lots of different things that happened over time. I think for me, the biggest thing that actually got me thinking about Islam seriously was when I did tasbih for the first time. So when I saw people in Turkey doing tasbih, I saw so many people doing it. I thought they were stress beads. That's what I used to call them. I used to call my mum. I'd be like, people in Turkey, they do stress beads. It's so cool, mum. So when I actually Googled for the first time what you're supposed to say when you do it, and I learned about Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, and I learned the meaning of these words, and I started doing it for the first time.
Merasa gugup saat masuk ke masjid karena bukan sebagai muslimah, Aisyah sempat memikirkan hal yang macam-macam. Dia takut orang-orang menegurnya dan merasa malu karena tidak mengerti apa-apa. Dia pun tidak pergi ke tempat sholat lantaran tidak tahu bagaimana caranya sholat. Akhirnya Aisyah memutuskan duduk di lantai dan menggunakan tasbih barunya di sana. Selama 1 jam berdiam diri, ia malah merasakan sebuah kenyamanan dan kedamaian dalam dirinya. Ketika hendak pulang, Aisyah mendengar suara azan. Dia masih ingat betul suara nyaring dari Masjid Biru itu. Sementara tempat di seberangnya terdapat masjid juga yang sedang mengumandangkan azan. Aisyah yang tengah berada di tengah-tengah kedua masjid tersebut merasa takjub dengan suara azan. Bahkan dia sampai menghentikan perjalanannya demi mendengarkan suara itu. Saat azan berhenti, dia pun hendak kembali berjalan menuju hotel. Namun, tiba-tiba ponsel Aisyah mati. Dia pun sempat merasa panik karena tidak tahu arah jalan pulang. Tidak lama kemudian, dia terdiam dan berpikir untuk tenang. Ia pun menyimpan ponselnya dan menggantinya dengan memegang tasbih dan kembali berzikir. Lalu mendadak Aisyah menemukan jalannya kembali untuk ke hotel. Dia begitu takjub saat itu. Bahkan sesampainya di hotel, Aisyah langsung mengambil Al-Quran terjemahan dan mulai membacanya.
There was another moment on top of that was really special. And that was the moment that happened after I did tasbih for the first time. And that was the moment when I was coming out of the mosque, Blue Mosque here in Istanbul. And I stood between Blue Mosque and Hagia Sophia. That's where I heard the azan for the first time. I mean, I'd heard it before, This is when I really heard it. Like I actually stopped and listened to the azan, because when you're standing between those two mosques, it's so loud. The azan is so loud. And I remember standing there and just hearing the azan and thinking, wow, that is so beautiful. That is so peaceful. And I remember in that moment, I had an hour journey back to my hostel. I had to walk an hour back to my hostel. I didn't know the way. I was thinking to myself, okay, I need to go back to my hostel. How do I get there? So I got my phone out. I was ready to Google Map. And then my phone that was on 50% battery just died. And I remember feeling really anxious. I was thinking, how am I going to get back to my hostel? I'm in a foreign country. I don't know where to go. And I was panicking and the azan was still playing. And then all of a sudden, it was like all my worries just dropped. Like it was like everything just disappeared and my anxiety left my body. And I thought, God, if you're real, this is kind of what's going through my mind. Like, God, if you're real, help me get back to my hostel. And in that moment, in a very, 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 very long time, I wasn't anxious. I wasn't worried. Like before I became Muslim, I think I spent a lot of my time being worried. Like everything worried me. Like I had such bad anxiety. Like what if I go in the street and this thing happens? What if I do this and this happens? And then once I discovered Islam, once I became Muslim, it was the remedy to my anxiety. It was the thing that I'd been searching for so long to stop me from feeling anxious all the time and worried all the time, because I learned tawakkul. I learned about having faith in God, about having faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That feeling was what actually drew me to Islam. Subhanallah, I just walked straight to my hostel. I didn't take a single wrong turn. I don't know how I did it. It was all by the grace of Allah. But I walked from Blue Mosque straight to my hostel with no intervention, no help. Nobody helped me. And I was calm the entire time. There was not one moment where I thought, I've taken a wrong turn, I don't know where to go. Subhanallah, it wasn't me, it was Allah that got me back to my hostel.
Sejak saat itu, Aisyah sempat melepas hijabnya beberapa kali karena merasa bukan muslim. Namun, dia menemukan kenyamanan saat memakai hijab. Dia juga merasa bahwa ajaran berpakaian dalam Islam tampak baik karena menunjukkan kerendahan hati tanpa perlu memamerkan bentuk tubuhnya. Hal itu membuatnya menjadi lebih sopan dan tampil sederhana. Akhirnya, Aisyah memutuskan memakai hijab dan terus belajar agama Islam melalui video-video di YouTube. Dia telah berjanji pada dirinya sendiri tidak akan bersyahadat sebelum selesai membaca Al-Quran. Menurutnya, tidak mungkin seseorang memeluk suatu agama tanpa membaca dan memahami isi kitabnya. Sehingga, dia pun terus menonton ceramah, belajar, membaca Al-Quran, dan buku-buku panduan Islam lainnya. Setelah selesai membaca Al-Quran, Aisyah memutuskan mengucapkan kalimat syahadat sendiri di ruang tamunya pada malam hari dengan Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala sebagai saksinya. Sejak saat itulah Aisyah menjadi seorang mualaf. Aisyah benar-benar tidak menyangka bahwa hal ini bisa terjadi dalam hidupnya. Menurut dia, mungkin ini adalah takdirnya menjadi wanita pilihan Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala untuk menjadi seorang muslimah yang taat.
My first experience inside Blue Mosque. After that, I went back to the hostel and I started reading the Quran. There was an English translation inside my hostel. So I picked that up and I started reading. And I read probably around 5 pages of Surah Baqarah. I was just reading. And I remember I took pictures on my phone of any ayats I found interesting. And after that, I just kept learning. I kept reading the Quran. I had no intention to become Muslim, but I kept doing these things just because I was interested. Something sparked my interest. I wanted to know what was going on. I come back to UK. I carried on learning. As soon as I come back to UK, lockdown happened within the week that I came back, which, subhanallah, was completely Allah's plan, because if that hadn't have happened, what easily would have happened is I would have come back to UK, I would have gone back onto a film set, and that's it. You know, when you're working in film, it's like you go in the morning, you go, in the evening you come back, there's no life. But subhanallah, lockdown happened, and lockdown forced me in my house with my phone, with my computer, with my books. And I read, and I just read, I learned, I watched lectures. I did it all at home. I didn't know any Muslims. I was by myself for the entire journey. And I still wasn't planning on becoming Muslim. What really sparked it for me was when I actually started praying. I thought, I'm going to try this, because like I said, I was really into self-help. And I thought, if someone can get up for Fajr, like that makes them have amazing self-control. So that's what I started doing. I started using praying to help me gain control over my days, to help me structure my days. And by doing that, my days were becoming so much more productive, because I would plan between Fajr and Zuhr, I would do this, this, and this. And between every prayer, I planned all these things. And I was being so productive with this schedule. I couldn't believe it. I loved it. I was like, this is awesome. Islam is awesome. People who pray 5 times a day, it's so cool because you can do so much with your day. So I was doing that. And then Ramadan came. And I was like, I'm going to really try and get self-control. I'm going to try Ramadan. My mum did not want me to. Like, she honestly thought I was going to die. She said, you cannot do this, you will die. She was so mad at me for trying. So I was doing Ramadan in secret, and I could not believe I was doing it. I honestly didn't expect to be able to do it. I started doing Ramadan, and that's when the actual belief started to come to me. It stopped being about dunya gains, about myself, and it started being about Allah, because during Ramadan, I was just like focused. I was fasting, I was praying, and between that, I was just learning about Islam. That was all I was doing with my time. So the way Islam made me feel, I was like, this is the truth. Nothing in my life has given me this feeling. And because of that feeling, that's when I started taking it seriously. And I started going, this is from God, because only God can give me that contentment. I've tried so many things in my life to find contentment, to find happiness, and God has given me that with Islam.